कुंज बिहार जय राम 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 कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन जय जन रंजन यशोदानंदन जय जन रंजन वीरा न चारे मुनरीरा वन चारे जय राधा माधव जय बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ वरदान यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन तीरावन तीरावन माधव जय बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय राधा माधव राधे जय राधा माधव राधा माधव राधे जय राधा गिरिधरी राधा गिरिधरी राधे जय राधा गिरिधरी राधा गिरिधरी राधे जय राधा गोविंद राधा गोविंद राम जय राधा गोविंद राधा गोविंद राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय श्री राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय जय श्री राम जय जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जय जगन्नाथ देवा जय सुभद्रा जय निताय गौरंगा जय निताय गौरंगा निताय गौरंगा जय निताय गौरंगा निताय गौरंगा जय निताय गौरंगा Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev श्री श्री राधा माधव की जय श्री श्री राधा गोविंद जी की जय श्री श्री राधा गिरधारी की जय श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् श्रुवन्तं स्वाकथा कृष्ण पुण्यशर्वणं कीर्तन हृदयन्तस्थो हयभद्राणि विदुनोति श्रुतसतां नष्टप्रयासु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Naranarayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses the desires for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the ears to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised by transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Prabhuji, I am sharing the screen for Leela.
Yeah. Where is it gone?
So, can you see it now, Prabhuji?
No. Yeah. Got it.
So, retry, you can start from he had left Vrindavan. Or...
Okay. Let me just make my screen a bit bigger. He had left Vrindavan for this, reading from Srila Prabhupada, Lilamrit, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. He had left Vrindavan for this. At first, he had not been certain whether he would stay in America more than 2 months. In Batla, he had presented his books, but then in New York, he had seen how Dr. Mishra has developed things, and then the Mayavadis had a big building. They were taking money and not even delivering the real message of the Gita. But the American people were looking. It had been a difficult year. His God brothers hadn't been interested in helping. Although this is what their Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur wanted and what Lord Chaitanya wanted. because Lord Chaitanya wanted it. His messages would come and it would happen. This was a nice place, 26 2nd Avenue. He had started here. The boys would keep it up. Some of them were donating their salaries. It was a start. Prabhupada looked at his watch. He put on his tweed winter coat and his hat and shoes, put his right hand in his bead bag, and continued chanting. He walked out of the apartment, down the stairs, and through the courtyard, which was now frozen and still. Its trees starkly bare without a single leaf remaining, and he left the storefront behind. He left even while Brahmanand, Rupanuga, and Satswarup were at their office jobs. There was not even a farewell scene or a farewell address. Can we?
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji, the
That
chapter is
all?
finished. Yeah.
Just one page.
Oh, another page? Okay.
When are we gonna finish?
Because the chapter has been finished. You want to continue another page?
It's okay. I was just wondering if we do one page a day, how many days will it take? Yeah. Anyway, Hare Krishna, everyone. Today's Bhagavatam reading is Canto 4, the creation of the fourth order, and chapter 28, Puranjana becomes a woman in the next life. And today's text is text 51. Tattapurvatraha kaschita sakha brahmana atmavan Santavayan valguna samana tam aharuditam rudatim prabhu tatra purvatra kaschita sakha brahmana atmavan santavayam valguna santvayam valguna samna santavayam valguna samna tamaharudatim prabhu santwana palagunam samana tame aham rudatim prabhu tatra purvatam kanschita sakha brahmanam atmavan santavanayam valguna samana tamaham rudatim prabhu. Yes, someone else, please. Oh, sure, I haven't shared it. Sorry.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So, do you want to share, or I
Yeah, I am. I
okay, I'm
forgot
just then stop sharing.
where is the sharing gone? Okay, you can share, Prabhu. I'm having problems sharing this.
Yeah, I'm just doing it. Share.
Is that it?
Yeah, all good. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, somebody could read it, please.
Tatra purvataraha kaschit shakha brahmano atmavan shayantan balguna samna tamaha rudatim prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Please read.
Tatra purvataraha kaschit shakha brahmano atmavan shantvayan bulguna shamna tamaho rudatim prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Tatra puvartara paschit sakha brahmana atmavan santvayan valguna samna tam aharudatim prabhu.
Else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat.
तत्र पूर्वत्रः कश्चित् सखा ब्राह्मण आत्मवान् शान्तवयान् बल्गुनाशाम्ना ताम् आहारुदतिं प्रभो. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Anybody else? Prabhu, let's go down a bit. Synonyms: tatra, in that place; purvatra, previous; kaschita, someone; sakha, friend; brahmana, a brahman; atmavan, very learned scholar; santavayam, pacifying; valaguna, by very nice; samna, mitigating words; tam, unto her; aha, he said; rudatim, while she was crying; Prabhu, my dear king. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. My dear king, one Brahman who was an old friend of King Puranjana came to that place and began to pacify the queen with sweet words. Purpose: the appearance of an old friend in the form of a Brahman is very significant. In his Paramatma feature, Krishna is the old friend of everyone. According to the Vedic injunction, Krishna is sitting with the living entities side by side. According to the Shruti mantra, Dvasuparna Suhaja Sakhya, the Lord is sitting within the heart of every living entity as Suharta, the best friend. The Lord is always eager to have the living entity come home back to Godhead, sitting with the living entity as witness. The Lord gives him all the chances to enjoy himself materially. But whenever there is an opportunity, the Lord gives good counsel and advises the living entity to abandon trying to become happy through material adjustment, and instead turn his face towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrender unto him. When one becomes serious to follow the mission of the spiritual master, his resolution is tantamount to seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As explained before, this means meeting the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the instruction of the spiritual master. This is technically called Vani Seva. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states in Bhagavad Gita commentary on the Veds, Vyasit se Atmika Buddhirs Eko Guru Nandana, yes, Gita 2. Chapter 2, text 41, that one should save the words of the spiritual master. The disciple must stick to whatever the spiritual master orders. Simply by following on that line, one sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Paramatma, appears before the queen as a Brahman. But why didn't he appear in his original form as Sri Krishna? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks that unless one is very highly elevated in loving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot see him as he is. Nonetheless, if one sticks to the principles enunciated by the spiritual master, somehow or the other, he is in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since the Lord is in the heart, he can advise a sincere disciple from within. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 10:10. Tesam satata yuktanam vastam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. In conclusion, if a disciple is very serious to execute the mission of the spiritual master, he immediately associates with the Supreme Personality of Godhead by Vani or Vampu. This is the only secret of success in seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Instead of being eager to see the Lord in some bush or Vrindavan, while at the same time engaging in sense gratification, if one instead sticks to the principles of following the words of the spiritual master, he will see the Supreme Lord without difficulty. Srila Vilva Mangal Thakur has therefore said, Bhakti Tattva is Tirtha Bhagavan Yadi Sayat Devena Naha Falat Palati Divya Kishora Murti Mukti Swayam Mukti Tanjalit Sevates Asmin Dharmataha Kam Gataha Samaya Pratiksha. If I am engaged in devotional service unto you, my dear Lord, then very easily can I perceive your presence everywhere. And as far as liberation is concerned, I think that liberation stands at my door with folded hands, waiting to save me. And all material conveniences of dharma, that's religiosity, artha, economic development, and kama, sense gratification, stand with her. Krishna Karnamrita, Slok 107. If one is very highly advanced in devotional service, he will have no difficulty in seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one engages in the service of the spiritual master, he not only sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but attains liberation as far as material conveniences are concerned. They automatically come, just as the maidservants of a queen follow the queen wherever she goes. Liberation is no problem for the pure devotee, and all material conveniences are simply awaiting him at all stages of life. Can you take me the beginning? Thank you. Tatta Purvatra Kanchita Sakha Brahman Atmavan Santavayan Valguna Samna Tamahar Dhartri Prabhu. Translation, please. My dear king, one Brahman who was an old friend of King Puranjana came to that place and began to pacify the queen with sweet words. Thank you. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Loknath Swamniti Namne. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamniti Namne. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschat Destarane. Mukam Karoti Vachalum Pangam Langraikirim Yat Kirpatam Ham Bande Guru Dina Tarane. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurumlitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. He Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinu Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Jaitam Sruto Pangora Mama Manamate Gati Mate Sarvas Padam Bhoja Radha Madana Mohanu Svancha Kalpataru Vayoscha Kripa Sindhu Vayo Chapatitanam Pavan Vayo Vaishnavyo Namo Nama. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityanand Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna once more and welcome everyone. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, chapter 28, text 51, Tatta Purvatra Kaschinas Sakha Brahmanat Atmavan Satyavayam Valguna Samna Tamaho Rudatim Prabhu. The story is the continuation of the story of Puranjana. Narad Muni is relating the story. Actually, Puranjana is the human beings, so souls, and Puranjana has taken birth as a woman, and he's married, has his new, or she is married, and he's to a king, and they grow old, and the king passes away, and Puranjana in the form of a queen, in the body of a queen now, is lamenting, crying, and wanted to sit on the funeral pyre with her husband. And at that time, a Brahman, and the Brahman is no other person but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or the Super Soul of Paramatma, and appears, and the conversation starts there, which is in the next few chapters or slokas. But in short, the Brahman says, just pacifying the queen with sweet words. But here, Prabhupada, in the purport, he goes in a different direction, doesn't continue with the story, but tells that the importance of saving our spiritual master or guru. And this, he highlights the point that how we can effectively or successfully save our guru is Vani Seva. I mean, I can say most of us here don't have the Vapu Seva. So we don't have the presence of our guru with us. So we cannot do any physical service to our guru, but Prabhupada highlights the Vani Seva. Vani Seva means following his instructions, Guru's instructions. And that's a service, Seva, and it's a very important one. And Prabhupada here mentions, quotes Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur with his commentary on text 241. I'll go in there. And she was in Vayase Atmika Buddhi Eko Kuru Nandana Bahusakha Antascha Buddhyo Vayasena. Chakravarti Thakur's, the text is, those who are on this path are resolute in purpose. Their aim is one, O beloved child of the Gurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute in many branches. And the purport of this sloka, Srila Prabhupada says, a strong faith that by Krishna consciousness, one will be elevated to the highest perfection of life is called Vayasatmika intelligence. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 22:62, states, Shraddha Sabde, Vishwas kahe Sudra Shraddha Nishchaya, Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Karta hai. Faith means unflinching trust in something sublime. This is the definition Prabhupada gives, or the definition of faith. Unflinching trust in something sublime. When one is engaged in the duties of Krishna consciousness, he need not act in relationship to the material world with obligations to family, traditions, humanity, or nationality. Fruitive activities are the engagement of one's reactions from past good and bad deeds. When one is awake in Krishna consciousness, he need no longer endeavor for good results in his activities. When one is situated in Krishna consciousness, all activities are on the absolute plane, for they are no longer subject to dualities like good and bad. The highest perfection of Krishna consciousness is renunciation of material conception of life. This stage is automatically achieved by progressing in Krishna consciousness. So we don't have to do just be Krishna consciousness and every other thing will drop off automatically. This resolute purpose of a person in Krishna consciousness is based on knowledge. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samatma Sudurlava. A person in Krishna consciousness is the rare good soul who knows perfectly that Vasudeva or Krishna is the root of all manifested causes. As by watering the root of a tree, one automatically distributes water to the leaves and branches. So by acting in Krishna consciousness, one can render the highest service to everyone, namely self. That means there's a service to yourself or ourselves, family, society, country, humanity, etc. If Krishna is satisfied by one's actions, then everyone will be satisfied. Service in Krishna consciousness is, however, best practiced under the able guidance of a spiritual master who is a bona fide representative of Krishna, who knows the nature of the student and who can guide him to act in Krishna consciousness. As such, to be well versed in Krishna consciousness, one has to act firmly and obey the representative of Krishna, that is your spiritual master. And one should accept the instructions of a bona fide spiritual master as one's mission in life, just like Srila Prabhupada had done. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur instructs us in his famous prayer for the spiritual master as follows: Yasa prasadat bhagavad prasado, yasa prasadanna gati katopi, dayamstu vantasyat yasa sri sandhyam, vande guru shri charnaravindam. By satisfaction of the spiritual master, the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes satisfied. And by not satisfying the spiritual master, there is no chance of being promoted to the plane of Krishna consciousness. Is a very strong message there. By satisfying the spiritual master, the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes satisfied. By not satisfying, then there is no chance of being promoted to higher plane of Krishna consciousness. I should therefore meditate and pray for his mercy 3 times a day, for my respectful obeisances unto him, my spiritual master. The whole process, however, depends on perfect knowledge of the soul beyond the conception of the body, not theoretically, but practically. Not just having the knowledge, but we need to practice it, need to follow the instructions. When there is no longer a chance of sense gratification manifested in fruitive activities, one who is not firmly fixed in mind is diverted by various types of fruitive activities. Going back, so the message is one should save the words of the spiritual master. That means the instructions given in his classes. Many times we miss out the instructions when the guru is giving a class. We think is that if you are sitting in your guru's class, that message is directly at you. And no, when the guru is not present, like in our cases, he has got tons of these days we are so lucky. There's YouTube and all sorts of things, like we are in Zoom. You can follow your guru or listen to his classes, YouTube videos of the classes. There is no excuse at all at the moment. The disciple must stick to whatever the spiritual master orders. Time and again, we find a lot of people missing out on that. Simply by following on that line, one sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How simple it is. We don't have access to the Supreme Personality directly. Simply saving the Vani of the spiritual master, following on that line, one can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Paramatma, is in. So going back to the story of what happened, the background story, just remind everyone that Puranjana is the soul, Avagyatma, Gyatam is the unknown one, the Supreme Personality of Godhead or the Super Soul of Paramatma in us, who cannot be understood. No Dwarapuri is the human body. And Puranjana wants to live in that body. He forgets the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whatever Narad is telling us here is reminding us of our own practices, what we human beings are doing or what we are not doing. The queen of the pot, Puranjani, is actually our intelligence. Body is attached to I and mind. When we are attached to the body, we say I, and this is I am doing this, my, and this is mine, my family, my this, my that. The five-headed snake, I'm just summarizing or recapping what the whole story was. Remember, Puranjani was guarded by a five-headed snake, which is our prana, the pran, apan, the five types of pranas, pran, apan, vayan, udan, and saman. And the 11 bodyguards, our senses, Jnanendriya, 5 Jnanendriya, 5 Karmanendriya, and the mind. The lords of soldiers, the lords of thoughts in our mind. When soul enters the body, he is controlled by all our thoughts. Durvagi, who is described as a female of 85 years old, is actually aging, the process of becoming old. When Narad didn't want to marry Durvagi, it actually indirectly means that he will not get old. And we know that Narad Muni always looks young. And he's a Triloka Vicharani. He's traveling all over the three worlds. And remember in the story, he was cursed by Durvagi when he declined to marry her. Chandvegan is actually lifespan, our lives, and Prajvaran is fever, and Bhayan is the frightening feeling that our life would come to an end. Sometime we get that, I don't know when we will get that realization. The four starts, the fever starts capturing the body. And when We say that Durvagi first step in it means that human beings become aged. When we become aged, we become useless. The body becomes a place for all illness. We get afraid about our end, and at last our death column comes. When we die, whatever we think, or at the time of death, whatever we think, we remember we are born as that in the next birth, just like Puranjana was thinking of his wife, and he was born as a woman in the next life. The whole cycle repeats there itself. To break this cycle and reach the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead, we need the help of a Guru. When the Guru reaches God, we also want to follow the Guru. And as simple as that, we just follow the Guru, save him, and remember Srila Prabhupada in this sloka verse told us how we can save the Guru by following his words, instructions. And when we die, whatever we think, so if we think at the time of death, we think of Krishna, we'll definitely go to Krishna. But that's the test. Catch, would we be able to remember him at the time of death? The whole cycle repeats if we don't remember Krishna. And when we are ready, remember who is Guru? Guru is the representative of the Supreme Personality of God. It says that God comes in the form of Guru. King Malya Dvaja is the husband of the princess of Vidarbha, representing the embodied soul who has become detached from worldly pleasures and has dedicated his life to worship of the Lord. His wife, who renounced everything to save her husband, represents purified intelligence. When our intelligence is purified, it will not wander around chasing material things. So we need to purify our intelligence. When Malya's Dvaj passed away, the queen was about to immolate herself on the funeral pyre, as was the custom of those days. But she was restored by her friend, the Brahmin, who reminded her of her true identity. As later on in the chapter, the Brahmins, today he just met in this sloka, slok 51, he appears there and starts a conversation. Then a conversation that the Brahman will remind the true identity of Puranjana. Remember, his Puranjana in the body of a woman. The story of Queen Puranjana illustrates the human conditions and the cycle of birth and death. The ultimate goal of life is to awaken from the dream of delusion and realize our true nature as the Supreme Self. This can be achieved through the purification of the intelligence and the practice of detachment from worldly pleasures. Two things. We have to purify our intelligence, and well, it goes hand in hand. If our intelligence is purified, and how do we purify? With saving the Guru and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Only then can we attain liberation from the cycle of birth and death and find everlasting happiness and peace at the abode of the Supreme Lord. This is the situation of all of us living at the time of that, especially in modern civilization. As one grows older, one's body, mind, and intelligence grows weak. We got to be careful with about that. One's subordinates and family members turn against us. Even one's own wife. Remember, this is intelligence. Meanwhile, because one has had no training in spiritual understanding, one becomes bewildered. So if you have got good training in spiritual understanding, we should be able to control ourselves and pass through the test. One has dedicated one's entire life to the pursuit of material happiness, and then one's very body on which such happiness entirely depends is overwhelmingly attacked by old age and disease. And one doesn't know what to do. Not having any spiritual understanding, one becomes completely miserable. Well, we should be better off. But remember, at the same time, wherever possible, we should help our friends and relatives. While enjoying his his youth, King Puranjana had killed many animals. Another reminder here. And now these animals appeared again and began to pierce him with their horns. According to the laws of karma, one who kills animals for his own enjoyment or pays someone to kill, like the people go and buy meat in the supermarkets, the same thing. You either kill yourself or you pay somebody, because if we don't buy the meat, there won't be any demand for it. So we will suffer after that. It's it is very explicitly mentioned in Garud Purana what happens. Just want to mention that, like if you kill an animal, it is mentioned that you have to take rebirth. The number of times there's hair on the body of the animal that you have killed. Like, for example, you have killed a goat. Can you count the number of hairs on his body? That's how many times you have to take birth to pay for that's killing one animal. And how many animals we normally have killed in our lifetime, or people kill. So that's how many times it's a never-ending cycle. And then, of course, those animals who come back as human beings and kill us, taking revenge, they go into the same cycle. So this is a vicious cycle never ending. Somewhere, somehow, we have broken the cycle. We need to help others break it. If a living entity revives his relationship with Krishna, he can transcend the illusion of the influence of illusion and this cycle of repeated birth and death, and go back to kingdom of God in the spiritual world, Goloka, Vaikuntha. Or one who has spent his whole life for sense gratification cannot remember Krishna at the time of death. So it's very, very important. At the time of death, we got to, the whole practice here is Srila Prabhupada has given us for us to practice so that we can, at the time of death, we can remember this Krishna. So that's all I have to say. Any questions, any comments, please? Stunned, silence, shocked. Yeah, it is a shocking reminder. Wake up, others.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dhanatram. Can you hear me?
Hare Krishna, bro.
Thank you for the nice class. The verse you quoted about from Bhagavad Gita,
Yeah.
by the explanation by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Then
Yeah.
there was the quite Srila Prabhupada to go to West, which I think he quotes quite a few times. A very important verse, how we should take the instruction of a spiritual master, the model spiritual master as our life. So, thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for the nice class. And they mentioned about this 241, 241, Buddhiya Keva Purunandana,
Yeah.
Bhushakai Anantasya. The one thing is very important here. Of course, many of us do not get the opportunity to serve the spiritual master personally, that is Bopu Sheva. But that is also very important. People think that only Bani is important, no doubt, in absence of spiritual master, but both are equally important. When we get the opportunity to serve the spiritual master, it is to be considered, it is a great opportunity for him. And because the Lord is present before him in that way, so we should not underestimate the importance of Bopu Sheva also, because Bani is important, because in absence of the spiritual master, that is the only way we can serve the spiritual master. But Bopu is also equally important.
Yeah, but Prabhupada is not saying that we leave one and do the other one. Prabhupada is in this ways. Remember, we should not just go by in isolation in this particular ways. Prabhupada is giving us a alternative, not alternative, a solution that in our cases, we don't get the opportunity to save our Guru personally. Even if when I go to India, I don't know whether he has got thousands of disciples, and we have to struggle to even get the darshan of him, which is because we have to book in like we have in darshan at for temples in India, but this is this is the experience I'm having when I go to India. I want to have darshan of my Guru Maharaj. Not that he don't want to give darshan. There's so many of us and he's so busy. But Prabhupada is giving us an alternative or giving us a solution that if you in such a situation, you follow his instructions. Even if you are present, even if the Guru is present there, Prabhu, and he gives you some instructions. What's the point if you overlook that, you don't follow through, obey? So Prabhupada is reminding us the importance of Vani. The best service is following the instructions of your Guru, whether Guru is physically present or not present. He's not undermining Vapu. No, neither did I. But saying, even if Guru is present, if you don't follow his instructions, what's the point? So that remember, whether he's present or not, got to follow his instructions. And by simply following his instructions, Krishna will be pleased. Anybody else?
Yeah, that is what I'm trying to tell. Both are equally important, and only by pleasing the spiritual master we can go back to Godhead.
Yeah, that is important message, that by saving the spiritual master, not pleasing him, the only way to please him is to follow his instructions, not by giving him chapan bodh. That's not going to satisfy him, his sense, but following his instructions is the most important thing. Anybody else or anything else, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yeah, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the wonderful class. I'm just wearing a headphones, that's why maybe you can't hear me properly. But when you mentioned about the hairs on the body of the animal, that's how many lives you take. Is that right? If
Can you
you
come again, please?
engage,
It's not very.
like the hairs on the body of the animal.
Yeah.
Yes, that one really stood out to me. That point.
Yes, it's very horrifying. It's one animal. It's this been mentioned in Mahabharata as well, that you kill one animal to for eating. In the scriptures is when you, before slaughtering an animal, you the mantra there is actually that I'm killing you in this lifetime. You can kill me in the next life, and this process goes on. It's not just one lifetime. It's the number of hairs on the body of the animal that you have killed for food, and so that's horrifying fact.
Yes. Thank you for reminding us. Thank you very much.
Any other comment or question or anything? Okay, then the text 51, Tat Purvataha Kaschin Sakha Brahman Atmavan Santavayan Valguna Samna Santavayan Valguna Samna Tamha Rudati Prabho. My dear king, one Brahman who was an old friend of King Prunjana came to that place and began to pacify the queen with sweet words. Thank you very much. Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Loknath Swami Niti Namne. Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namne. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschate Destar. Vancha Kalpatarupescha Kripasindhu Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namo Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Satanan Prabhu ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.